Well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out. I'm not sure how to start this on Valentine's. There aren't too many people happy in my house, so I appreciate you all being here tonight. Normally we would do this in March. Mr. Miller and I believe that this might be a little bit early to be thinking about 7th grade, and after spring break, okay, it's time to start really thinking about Stillwell and starting junior high. But there was a request from my bosses to move it up, so we moved it up, and I appreciate you being flexible and being here tonight. So we're going to try to be efficient and get you out of here in about an hour. I'm going to go over some things. I've got a few people I want to introduce. Mr. Johnson, one of our counselors sitting back here in the purple. Ms. Cooper right here in the red. Another counselor, Ms. G, is behind her. And this is Ms. Smith, one of our teachers. So they're all going to be here to help support and share some information about what 7th grade looks like at Stillwell. Tonight, we'll go over Planet 7. We'll talk about teaming. We'll go over schedule, courses, some activities that are available to 7th graders. Athletics don't start until 8th grade, but we do have some activities, and we really strongly encourage engagement in school. Connection to school is extremely important to us. We'll talk a little bit about some of the elementary visits we've already got planned, and some tours we're going to get started here at Stillwell, which will be something new, and then we'll wrap it up. So, whoops. Planet 7. So Planet 7 is week-long activities put on by our West Des Moines police officer, Scott Davis. I don't know if any of you know him, but he runs our Planet 7. I would strongly encourage this activity if it falls in your summer schedule. It'll be the last few weeks in July and the first week in August. And we'll get those dates out. We're just shoring them up here as we're planning these last couple of weeks. It brings in all feeders together. They do team building activities from 8 till about 4. If anyone's ever been to Adventure Learning Center in Urbandale, it's a great activity. I've actually gone and done it. They do the high ropes. They'll do Keller's activity to learn about their personality, what type of people maybe they work best with, and some that they might want to avoid. And then they wrap it up on Fridays. They go to Kansas City to Worlds of Fun. Great opportunity to start getting to meet other kids outside of their elementary school and start building some of those relationships, because as we get into teams, they're not going to see necessarily everybody they've seen in the past. Any questions about Planet 7? I'm going to get this button down right soon. So one of the special things about Stillwell is teaming. We have 6 teams, and for 7th grade, we've got the E and the R. Our S team would be the new tech team, which is project-based learning. Why do I think teaming is special is we've got, your child's going to be with a set core teachers all year long. So if they're on the E team, they're going to have the same 4 core teachers. We have planning built in our day for not only their departments, but for the team. So their team is going to meet on a regular basis. We have a 6-day rotation for teachers to where their teams can meet at a minimum once a week and more if they so choose. It puts a nice little safety net under kids. It also provides opportunities for parents and teachers to partner. I have it highlighted right now. These are their actual emails. So if, let's use my son for example, Cameron were having some concerns, or I wanted to know if Cameron were getting all of his work turned in on time, I could type in this email and send one question or one little paragraph, and it goes out to all of the core teachers on the E team, plus some of the elected teachers. So it's an opportunity to kind of send a one-fits-all email and get responses and dialogue going right away. And again, our schedule's flexible enough for parents to come in and have team meetings. I've sat in 2 team meetings in the last 2 days trying to just problem solve with parents and their child and make sure they're getting the best education that they possibly can. Like I said, S team would be our new tech team, and for those who are interested in new tech, at the end of this, I'll have a little presentation for those who want to stick around and learn about new tech. But in regards to teaming, I think it's one of the best things about Stillwell. We have 6 teams, and it's an opportunity for us to really partner and provide the best education for your child. Maybe if I'm consistent. So, Mr. Johnson and I have messed with the schedule. This is my 3rd year as principal, and we have completely overhauled it 3 times, trying to make teaming still a priority. We want to pre-create time for our teachers in regards to PLCs and department time to make sure we're really addressing standards and looking at what we want all kids to learn. We've also started to tweak how long do we think it takes to get from class to class. So when I came in 2 years ago, we rearranged the building, and in 2 years I've moved all but 2 teachers. Just a side note, I had one teacher, I went in 2 days before school was to let out and said, "You're going to move." She was retiring next year, the following year. She hadn't moved out of that room since 1993. So when we went in to help her move, there were worksheets that were as old as I am. So it needed to happen. But it's been quite a shift for all of us. One of the things we've done is we've taken our teachers and again kind of put them in a location where they're all together. So like for the most part, the E team is together. The R team is together, and it goes throughout the building. So when they're passing through the halls, teacher knows who those students are. And we can try to control environment and create safety for all of our kids. So we decided after year one of the issues we had was because they literally were walking sometimes across the hall, that 5 minutes was a lot of time to go from one side of the hall to the other. So we looked at, could we do it in 3 minutes? And the answer was maybe, but it's quite a trek from upstairs clear down to the gym. So we settled on 4 minutes, and some of our students would say that's not enough, and I would tell you they like to socialize. So this is our schedule. We go 7 periods a day, and we run a day 1 and a day 2. And when Mr. Johnson talks about band and PE and how we alternate, it'll probably be a little confusing, and when you come through the registration process in August and get that schedule, you're going to get a day 1 and a day 2, and it's going to look a little goofy, but in about 2 or 3 days of school it'll make plenty of sense. But 7 periods, we go 46 minutes a period, 4 minutes in between passing. The biggest change is right there at the top, 7:35. That is wicked early for 6th graders who have been used to sleeping in. And I came from the high school in the first year. I think it took me until February to adjust. Now, a couple things I tell you. I get here at 6 a.m., so the doors open at 6 a.m. every single morning. We run a sweat that we'll talk about a little bit later. That's an open gym. Our cafeteria is available if kids want to come in and study, but the doors open at 6. We do leave them open till 7 every night, because if they're anything like Cameron Boyle, you're going to get home and be like, oh man, I forgot this. Doors are open, come back in, get to your locker, get the things you need so everybody sleeps peacefully at night. Our lunch schedule, we do eat brunch. We start at 10:30 in the morning. So some kids, unfortunately, will have 10:30 breakfast. And what I tell you is, our boys will eat in about 30 seconds. It's amazing. Our girls in the fall eat a little quicker. Right now, when it's nice and especially like January when it's cold, they eat as slow as possible. Because at about 10:45, We take them outside for recess. There's blacktop out back. They play football, foursquare, basketball. We let them burn some energy so they're ready to go for the second half of the day. And we do that for all 3 lunches. And I have a Tiger Time, which is right up here to start the day. It's our homeroom. I have an 8th grade Tiger Time. And when we made the announcement today that we're going to start going back outside on Thursday, which for me, right now, during the wintertime, we do recess in the gym. So imagine 250 kids for 15 minutes. I mean, there's a reason I'm bald. So we're going back outside on Thursday, and it went over like rocks against the window. They're not excited about it. But so we do get them out, we get them moving around, and we let out at 2:35. And we'll talk about some opportunities and things that are available at the end of the day for those who maybe can't pick up at 2:35. All right, I'm going to give it over to Mr. Johnson, who's going to talk about what are the classes that everybody has to take, and then some of the electives or choices they have available.
Thank you, Mr. Boyle. All right, well, my name is Mr. Johnson. I'm one of the counselors here. Glad to see so many people come out tonight. Just going to kind of go through some of the required classes that, again, all students are going to take. Some of the classes you'll see, there's some different leveling that we have, and that a lot of that's going to be determined in the next couple weeks to months with your 6th grade teachers, and you're going to have conversations with those teachers at conferences about where they're at with these different levels that we have. But for the most part, there's, the general classes are meeting the needs of the majority of our students. And so, when we talk about some of these classes that have different levels, we're looking at trying to provide support for students who might need, just additional assistance with reading or with math or anything like that. We just want to give those opportunities. The curriculum is pretty much the same for any of these, no matter what level you're at. It's just kind of the pace that they go at with these. So we got English as a top one there, and a large focus on working on those reading, writing skills in those English classes. Science, working on life sciences. They're working also on a lot of we're starting with chemistry and physics in there. And then social studies, you'll see there's a 7th grade social studies, which is our general classes. And we also have a foundations class, which is focused on developing those reading and writing skills for social studies. We do offer it in 7th grade. There isn't a foundations class in 8th grade, so this is just kind of a preparatory class to help them get them going with developing those skills again. Your teachers, the 6th grade teachers, will have a form that will, if they feel like your student will benefit from that foundations class, they will give you the form, and it's required to have a parent signature. So your student's not going to be placed into a class without you knowing. Okay. But again, we want to offer those options if you are interested in having, or feel your student needs those types of supports. All right, and then math is one that we have kind of 3 different levels there. Our pre-algebra is our advanced class, and that's each of these classes, where the student is located is based off of a lot of data that the 6th grade teachers use. It's actually, the teachers don't even really get to decide. There's a lot of data that's used. Now, obviously, if there's a close placement of them, they can get some input from them. But there's our curriculum director, our math curriculum director here in the district has set up a mass data collection thing that looks at how they're doing on different assessments, how they're doing in their classes, to see what level of math there is. And the biggest thing we tell parents and students coming in with math is we want them to feel comfortable with where they're at. Okay, I know a lot of parents are pushing, hey, we want them in the advanced class, and if they're at that level, great. We want to give them that opportunity, but we also don't want a student to come in, especially that 7th grade year, where there's going to be a lot of change, a lot of differences, and come in maybe doing an advanced math and finding out, oh my gosh, I don't, this is really tough for me. And so that's why we use a lot of that data in 6th grade and work with those teachers to figure out which level would be best for our students. So yeah, our pre-algebra is considered our more accelerated path with math. 7th grade math is our general level of math, and then foundations of math, which is called integrated math now actually, is again kind of a foundation class for students who you might just need a little bit more support with math, covering the same type of topics that the 7th grade math is covering, but again just kind of at a more broader level and giving them those supports for that. And again, your teacher will talk to you about what math level your student will be at, and they'll provide that data to support where they're at with that. And again, we want to have a lot of conversations about that to make sure that they're at the right level there. And then the other required classes that we have, so our core classes, they meet every day. And I'm going to show you a schedule here in a second to kind of see what it looks like as far as what it would look like on their schedule. So math, social studies, science, and English, they're meeting every day. The rest of our classes are going to have the option of, well, except for one other one, I'll show you one other one that's meeting every day. But our other classes are meeting every other day, and that's what Mr. Boyle talked about with the day 1, day 2. So physical education is going to meet every other day. Okay, so the students are going to have it one day and then not have it the next. Same with music, and we'll show you the options of music. Now, music is required next year as a 7th grader for at least a semester. But if they are in any support classes, which Ms. Cooper is going to talk about, that's something they can think about as not doing. But we want to give them the opportunity to try music. So I'm going to show you the different options for our music here in a little bit. But music is another thing that meets every other day. So they may have PE one or physical education one day, and then music the other day. And we'll show you some of those other options here. As far as our music, probably similar to what they have, what they have in elementary is their option. We have band, chorus, and orchestra. And so like I said, these ones meet every other day. And students will have the option, and you'll notice this on the registration form, they really have 3 options as far as electives. We have students who are taking all three of those musics, which is great. But we want to give them an experience with music, and so we do want them to take one of these if it does fit into their schedule. A lot of students will take chorus if they're not doing an instrument at all. But we do have the band and the orchestra there, and we're working with students. If your student's a beginner at any of those levels, the teachers are willing to work with that to help them develop those skills as they are working through junior high, and then hopefully by 8th grade, if they're going to start in 7th grade, hopefully by 8th grade they've developed those skills to really be at the level to be in the large group. And they set it up this year to kind of break it up based on instruments that they play. For the band especially, orchestra a little bit as well. They meet in large group, but they give a lot of options as far as developing those skills in those music areas. Should ask, is there any questions about the required classes with core classes or music or PE? And then the other required class, this is one period, but there's 4 different classes to it. It was called our exploratory block. And so it changes every 9 weeks. So every quarter, the exploratory block changes. And these are the 4 different options that they have. They have family consumer science, which is kind of halfway sewing and foods, or in cooking, I should say. They have technology education, where they work on the computers to design different objects, different things. They do a little bit of robotic stuff, and then they also work in the shop to build stuff. They build a birdhouse, build a couple other things too. So we got a neat opportunity to do those things. We have an art class, which we're working on drawing, a little bit of sculpting, and then also a little bit of photography. And then financial literacy is kind of our business option for kids. You learn to kind of manage a little bit of money. They actually work together as a group to set up a business and work on marketing, work on the accounting aspects of it. So they're just kind of getting a little dab of what it's like to run a business there. So these 4 classes, and they could be taking them in any order here. They could start with technology education, art, financial literacy, or family consumer science. By the end of the school year, they will have taken all 4. Now, the reason why we want to give them these opportunities is as they get into 8th grade, they will have the opportunity of choosing some of these different electives. So in 7th grade, we want to give them that option of kind of being able to experience in each one of those. And in 8th grade, they have the opportunity of actually choosing those. And so, like I said, they get a 9-week kind of exploratory experience of those different classes. And then one other class that we have as far as an elective is Spanish. So, and this is an every other day class as well, so this could mean alternating physical education, or it can mean alternating a music. And I didn't mention here, but we could, of those electives, they could have a study hall in there too. So Spanish is an elective. It's not required, and I will let you know it's not required to take Spanish in 7th grade in order to take it in 8th grade. It's an exploratory continuation, I would say, of what they've been doing in the elementary. So they're going to continue learning, developing those skills. But it's not. It's an elective, so you can choose to take it if not. So if it doesn't fit into your schedule, it's that you're not hurting anything later on. It's a great opportunity, again, to continue those skills. But again, it's not required. It's an elective to explore Spanish and just give the kids that option. Again, that one meets every other day as well. I put up here. This is kind of hard to read. This is what you will receive in registration in August. This is a schedule here. It looks like it's just a big spreadsheet, but ultimately it breaks down pretty easily. You'll see on here, it's kind of hard to read, but at the top you'll have Tiger Time. So they'll explain, they'll tell you what Tiger Time. The Tiger Time that they are in will be a teacher that's on their team. As Mr. Boyle talked about, your student will be on a specific team, and that Tiger Time where they start the day will be a teacher on that team. The 4 cores will be on there. 4 core teachers will be on there, but some elective teachers will be in there as well. And you'll notice what for this student, they would be on the R team, because you'll notice that all their core classes say R team near the bottom part of the little cell there. And so they have Tiger Time, and then you'll notice first, second, third hour for this student. They have English, science, math, and then you'll notice 4th hour is where they have that elective block. They have art, tech ed, family consumer science, and then consumer education, which is our financial literacy class. And you'll notice in 4th hour is where you see an empty, all right? And that empty is where they have lunch, okay? So you'll notice there's 3 spots there. There's a 4A, a 4B, and a 4C. So for the first quarter, they're going to have lunch during the empty spot. First, they're going to have first lunch. But then, you notice that they go into quarter 2, they'll actually have third lunch. So it can change throughout the year. That's an interesting aspect. They may have first lunch, for the first part of the year, and then change as they go along. It just kind of depends on, it all depends on what they have 4th period. Now if they have a science class or an English class, their 4th period, more than likely it's going to stay the same the whole time. If you look at, any of the core classes, it stays the same all the way across. The only thing that changes is our elective block, which is 4th hour in this example. One other thing I want you to notice in here is 6th and 7th hour. This is where our day 1 and day 2 classes are. So for this student, they have reading on day 1 and math resource on day 2 during 6th hour. So one day they'll have reading, the opposite during 6th hour, the opposite day they'll have math resource. Now Ms. Cooper is going to talk a little bit about those classes here in a little bit. But some other options they may have in there is chorus or band or Spanish or a study hall. And then PE is line 7 there, and that's alternating what's called Learning Lab there. And again, Ms. Cooper will talk a little bit about that here in a second. But that's where you'll see there are a little bit thicker sections here because they have the day 1, day 2. I'm going to give you another example of a schedule here, and I always show this one to students when we go visit the 6th graders, and I quiz them.
There is a test over this. About 20 minutes. So.
Am I talking too long?
No.
Okay.
It's
All right.
Information.
I know. We're getting a lot into it, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up because a big thing is I asked the kids. You remember, on the last schedule, I said that there's an empty spot for lunch. Well, if you look out here, there's no empty spot, and this is where it gets a little bit crazy for the 7th grade. But again, as Mr. Boyle said, they figured this out pretty quickly. But if you notice, during 4th hour, they have their day 1, day 2. This student actually has. You'll notice here they have study hall on day 1 during 4th hour and chorus on day 2. It might be kind of hard to read. But what happens is when they have day 1, when they have study hall, they actually have second lunch, because you'll notice that they have study hall first lunch, no study hall second lunch, and then study hall third lunch. And so that'll be a second lunch when they have that. And then chorus, since they have chorus in the 4A and the 4B, they'll have lunch in the third spot. So again, it switches. Some students will have it where they switch every day where they have a different lunch. They'll have a second lunch or and a third lunch. I don't want to confuse you guys too much. But because we always get questions about this during registration. Well, I don't think my kid has lunch. Just realize, how the day 1, day 2 thing works. And like I said, we know that kids that, right away aren't going to be able to figure that out. But just kind of a little bit of an example of what it looks like. Because it looks kind of overwhelming as you look at the schedule. It's really not too bad. The main thing to know is the day 1, day 2, and then also the elective blocks that change. Any questions about anything with this? All right. I will pass this on to Ms. Cooper here.
Which one do I push? I want to push that. Okay. Okay, I am Mrs. Cooper. I am the other counselor here, and I'm going to talk about support services, and then I'm also going to talk about after the bell. So, all of the classes that you see here up on this slide are extra support services that we provide to our 7th and 8th grade students. The most important thing to know about these classes is that they're not electives that students can choose to be in or not to be in. These are chosen for your student or your children, it would be their 6th grade teachers, and then as the year progresses and we notice any needs in students as they're with us. So when you have conferences with your 6th grade teachers here coming up in the next couple of weeks, this will be conversations that will be had, is if a student is already in one of these programs, for some of them, for example, our English language learners, if they receive that service in their elementary school, more often than not, that will continue when they are here. Also, our extended learning program, ELP is what most people call that. That will also be here when they come to 7th grade. And then we have a class called Learning Lab, and I actually teach the 8th grade Learning Lab, and then we have another teacher that does 7th grade Learning Lab. Learning Lab is a class, one of those every other day classes. Learning Lab is a class that you can kind of think of as a really, really, really small, really structured study hall. And so what it is we try and keep the classes or the groups around 6 or less if possible. And this is going to be for students who have a higher need in organization or with focus or just other needs that they have. Now, I say that, and there's probably all of you in here that are thinking, oh my gosh, I really wish my kid could have that. And trust me, we wish that we could have kids in really small study halls like that as well. But there are some determining factors that a student must qualify to meet, mainly because of funding. And so that may be one that your 6th grade teachers have either written on their registration form already. I know there's some 6th grade teachers who said they were going to be doing that, or that'll be a conversation that will be had at a later time. Math resource, again, just like Mr. Johnson talked about with our math, our pre-algebra, and our general math, and our integrated math. Math resource is also a class that's driven by data. Again, that will be something that we get from the 6th grade teachers. It's all put into a spreadsheet, and we get that information for what students qualify for math resource. Math resource is separate from math. So if a student is in math resource, they also are in a math class that meets every day. Math resource is an every other day class where they have a program that they work through, and it's to kind of fill in the gaps if there's gaps that are missing from their elementary math program and math concepts. It is a class that does have an exit process, so we often get students throughout the year that have met all the requirements and have exited out of math resource, and then we put them in a regular study hall. Reading resource is, again, in addition to their English class. It's an every other day support. Major focus is on reading comprehension, building up reading stamina, setting goals for reading, and again, driven by data. Students are selected based off of data that we get from 6th grade teachers. And then we also have our special education classes. If any students who have IEPs coming from 6th grade, reading, writing, and math will obviously follow with them up to Stillwell. Any questions on those support classes? Okay. All right. Another thing that we provide here at Stillwell that we highly, highly, highly recommend students take advantage of is After the Bell. After the Bell is an after-school study hall. It meets every day after school, and there's always a teacher or two that supervise it. It is from 2:30 or the end of the day until 4 o'clock. We do provide a snack for the students. It's a great opportunity for students to stay at school, get everything done, so that when they leave, it's taken care of. It also helps because our teachers are contracted till 3:15, so most of the time, if they're working at After the Bell and they're stuck and they need help, either the teachers that are right there supervising After the Bell can help them, or they may have the opportunity to pop up to their teacher's room and get that help right then and there, so that when they walk into class the next day, they have their work done. We do dismiss early on Wednesdays. We dismiss at 1:50, and so After the Bell just starts a little bit earlier. Students do not have to stay until 4 o'clock. We give them they can use their phones in terms of communicating back and forth with the ride. If they just need to stay for a half hour to finish something, and then they can leave, that's fine. It's also not something that they have to sign up for and attend every single day. It can be the very first time they go. It starts first week of school, second week?
Yeah, I'd say second.
Yeah. All they have to do to attend is there's this little orientation, and if a student hasn't attended After the Bell at all, and then all of a sudden it's March or April and they're struggling, they can still go into After the Bell and have that brief little orientation with the teacher there. There's a little contract that they sign, and then they're good. And so it's definitely something that we recommend students, and it's also something we ask. It's probably one of the very first questions we ask when we hear from parents, or we hear from teachers, or we hear from students that they're struggling to get their work done. We say, are you taking advantage of After the Bell? Is that a possibility for you to go to After the Bell? So it's usually one of our very first options that we give when trying to help students. Questions about After the Bell? It's free. Yes. Yes.
When you have Wednesday early out, does it still go till 4 o'clock?
Yep.
You know, one thing I would add to this, and this year it didn't play out that way. Normally, we have a bus to transport students home, and it takes you to your elementary feeder school, drops you off there, and then you either have to get your parents pick you up there, or you walk home. This year, I think we had one person who was interested in a late bus, so we ended up canceling it. So again, it comes down to next year, if we have that need for transportation home, but then the bus will pick up outside, right outside our cafeteria over here, a little after 4, and drop off at the 4 feeders if students go to Jordan Creek, or if they go to Fair Meadows, or wherever. And then it's a walk home or a pickup from there. So just know that transportation could be provided depending upon need.
I'm Barb Getchell, Assistant Principal Activity Director. An Activity Director is a really fun part of my job, because what I get to see is kids come together, get connected to school, make new friendships, and then get passionate about something, maybe explore something they've never done. So we have a lot of opportunities for kids to get involved here at Stillwell. Some of our volunteer opportunities that happen throughout the school year is we have iCare. So the first week during first semester and second semester, students can sign up for iCare in their study hall. So there'll be announcements. That's how our kids find out when things start. Everything runs through announcements. Tiger time, we make announcements. And then we just run announcements that are sent out to parents through Messenger. So iCare works from 2nd through 7th hour study hall. And they go out into the community and they do things like booster pack, they walk dogs, they work in some of the elementary schools, and so kids are gone during their study hall, come back into class. It's a great way to get connected to our community, and it also starts them thinking about Silver Cord, which happens when they go into 9th through 12th grade. Office assistants, again, it's out of your study hall. We have students who come into our office and they work every other day. They run errands for us, they do filing for us, and if there's nothing to do, they sit and they get their homework done. PE leaders, a very popular one, as you can imagine. They get to go into the gym class opposite of when they have PE, so it's not their PE class. And they just help with the class. They might help with warm-up activities, they help with equipment. Lots of kids like that opportunity. And then our student government, Student Senate. We meet on Wednesday mornings before school, twice a month, and we plan building-wide activities for students. We just had our Valentine's dance last Friday with a good DJ, good turnout, and lots of fun for lots of kids. I was not present, but was there dancing, Mr. Boyle?
There was dancing.
There was dancing.
We did the mannequin challenge.
Oh, very cool.
We have a Facebook and Twitter account. If you're not following, you probably should.
You have to resend it to me.
Oh, I gotta resend it. I'll get on there. You wanna move it?
Thank you. He's my Vanna, because I touch it and it just goes poof. Thank you. So, others activities that students can become involved in. We have a school play in mimes, and so many of our students who are like, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that. They tried their 7th grade year and they are hooked. Our play is in the fall. This year we did Beauty and the Beast, and there's a role for everyone. It might not be on stage, but there's a lot to do behind stage. Cast and crew are really an important part of making this happen. Publicity, so any talent, any interest kids have, we're going to find something for them to do to get connected. And that happens right when school starts, so that's a wonderful way for your 7th grade son or daughter to feel a part of Stillwell. And then our mime show. And we're practicing our mime show right now, and that'll take place at the end of March. Different clubs that we have, archery club. Our students do very, very well in that. They win tournament after tournament. We have our home meet is this Saturday, and I'm excited. I've never been to an archery tournament before, but we have lots of kids competed it, and they come up through the elementary schools. Our Yes Club is youth empowering students. It's very similar to the clubs that they have, the character counts clubs that they have in the elementary school. Our Yes Club meets after school on Thursdays, and we do a lot of activities that promote kindness. I would say we have a curriculum of kindness. So we find ways to let kids be recognized, to feel good about being a part of Stillwell. And then Best Buddies. Best Buddies is a club that works with our level 2 students, where they take them to, they go to ball games together. Tonight we had our first concession stand during our 8th grade boys basketball team. We've never tried this before. They made $200. These kids worked really hard, got money for their Best Buddy Club so they can do activities with the kids. That's okay. Other activities, music activities that we have. So you see jazz band, show choir, men's choir, women's choir, and orchestra groups. In order to participate in these groups, you need to be in band, orchestra, or choir. And these activities meet before school. Giving them a workout.
So, question is, what time is before school? So, like for the play,
Oh yeah.
that is 6:30.
6:30, 6:15 sometimes, before school. I came from Southwoods, this is my first year. February, I'm still not there, you guys. It is hard transition. Other activities that we have, Hyperstream meets every Wednesday after school, after our early out, it meets. They do a lot of like Legos, a lot of STEM activities in Hyperstream. Math counts, our math count team went to Ankeny today, and they placed, they're going to state, and we actually had one of our winners be number 1. One of our students took first place. So that is, teachers recommend for the team. So we have a strong, strong math program here. Geography and history beat, that happens in their social studies classes. And then intramurals. And Mr. Boyle mentioned sweat. Sweat's in the morning before school, starts at 6 o'clock. Sweat meets twice a week. And it's organized activities, a lot of kickball. So a lot of kickball, some basketball, but it sort of goes in what the kids want to do. Mr. Swisher takes care of our sweat program as well as our intramural program. Intramurals then is 3 nights after school. And again, that's through the announcements. They'll find out what activity we're doing. They'll do anything from, in the fall we're going to start cross country, so he's going to take the kids running. And there's basketball, there's football, there's frisbee, they're going to play rugby, so wiffle ball, so lots of different activities for kids to get involved in. Okay, this is a very, very important slide that Mrs. Cooper is going to share with you.
I'm sharing, our nurse wanted me to share this, so she's not here tonight, so I hope I do this. But, and I saw that one of the elementary schools has already posted this on their Facebook page, so the word is getting out. But there are 2 new immunizations that you must have before coming to 7th grade. And the couple of the reasons why the nurses are really pushing it is because the part that I have underlined right here is that there's no grace period for it. Right now with the immunizations that are required, we have like a 60-day grace period, so students can attend school for 60 days until, in order to get those immunizations. These new immunizations, there is no grace period. So if they do not have these 2 immunizations on the very first day of school, they cannot attend school. And then the other part that makes it even more trickier, I don't know what to say, is not every doctor is going to know and be aware and be upfront with this. So definitely when you look at your information, give a call to your doctor's office, ask about these new immunizations, and make sure that your child has everything. Our nurse did say, don't just call and say, is my child up to date on all their immunizations? Because if it's one of those doctor's offices that isn't completely aware of these new immunizations, they may say yes. So make sure if you do make that phone call, you say, we just had a registration or an orientation meeting at our school. We hear that there are new immunizations that were effective this year, that just started in 2017. So make sure that you get those immunizations. Yes?
Are there other immunizations that they need to have?
Oh, I knew.
Or are they-
Yes. There is. I don't know exactly what it is. So Sarah referenced it a little bit ago. There used to be a grace period. So in about late October, Nurse Liz would come to me and be like, okay, I've reached out to these people, and what do you want to do? And normally I give one more, hey, we need this, and then we don't allow people back in the building until they've gotten their immunizations up to date. I touch with your doctor, I'd make sure these 2 are on there, and then when you go through registration, Nurse Liz is one of our stops, so she'll be able to communicate with you anything that isn't up to date. All right, a couple of dates are already up here for our visits, so we will, I believe some of you may have course selection forms, some may not. They're going out here soon, or have gone out.
6th grade teachers have.
6th grade teachers have them. So we will be making our rounds after spring break to go over this presentation with your children. So as you can see, we're going to Fair Meadows the 27th and Western Hills the 28th. In Jordan Creek and Hillside, we're still trying to lock down a time, but we will go through this whole presentation and answer any questions they have about next year with them. So these are things that we find very important, help make for a successful school year, make for a successful experience in general for school. Number 1, regular attendance. We want kids here. The board has a new goal for attendance, and last year Stillwell actually hit that mark, so we're still trying to improve ours. But we're, I'll put a plug in. So in case you don't know, we were nominated Stillwell as a Blue Ribbon School for our math data and a few other factors. And as I was going through our application process right now, in the last 4 years, our attendance has been 95% or above. And our goal is to get it as close to 100% as possible. So I think part of the reason we have some success, or we're fortunate to be recognized, our teachers are, for all their hard work, is because we get kids here, and when we're working with them, good things happen. And we partner with families. So number 1, we want your children here. 2, probably one of the hardest right out of the gate, be on time. And that's, I mean, I joke about it for 7:35 start, but it's also be on time to class. I mean, we got 4 minutes. You get to see your friends, but be on time. Get to where you need to be. Be prepared. You'll get supply lists as you get into registration. Teachers will talk about what they feel they need to have to be successful. Again, I don't know how connected you are to what's going on in our district, but our board approved last night 1-to-1. So we will start working that into next year, and that means every student at Stillwell will have a Chrome device. And again, that means learning for all of us, because I would tell you, when you start looking at bringing your materials, in the bottom one, number 6, use a planner. I'll be honest with you, I don't use a planner anymore. I mean, I got a phone that tells me where I'm going most of the time. Now, my friend, Miss G over here, still uses a planner. So, yep. And I point out all the time how we're slowly bringing her along to this era. But it's going to change things. And I'm going to tell you honestly right now, some of the biggest changes that you as parents are going to go through is when we start talking about Chrome devices, we start talking about Google Classroom. There's a new one that we're going to start looking at, Canvas. One of the things we're going to try to do as a district is try to uniform the platforms we use. For example, right now, I have my own blog and Weebly site that I try to communicate with families about as much as at least once a week. But eventually, they're going to want me to get onto the same platform that all teachers use. But Google Classroom is something that you're going to be asked to start to familiarize yourself with, because your children and their teachers are going to be using that quite a bit. Participate. There are a lot of activities that go on, but it's even so simple as engaging in the process. Your children will hear that all the time from me. It is what you put into it. Engage in the process. If you want this to be a great experience, then engage. Get involved in activities. Try new things out. If you don't know, ask. We're really big. If you walk through our hallways, you'll see our 3 cornerstones. We as teachers, as a culture, are trying to build this foundation of growth mindset. That you control what you learn and how much you grow. We believe that wholeheartedly. We believe in high expectations. We want kids to achieve, and we believe that all kids can learn. We believe in positive relationships with our students, with our colleagues, and with parents. And we understand some days aren't going to be good days. I've had that today. And they're not even parents that attend this school. But I say to kids all the time, this is a learning institution, and some days it's academics and sometimes it's emotional. But we're trying to build positive citizens with you and hopefully create wonderful adults. And some days are great, and some days not so much. But together we can do this. So growth mindset, positive relationship, high expectations, and collaboration. Working together through thick and thin. Ask questions. If you're getting into the year and you're thinking, nah, I don't know if this is right, or I'm not sure this is going the way I want it to, that should be an indicator to email me, call me. If you email me, what I will tell you is I am addicted to my phone, and it is a goal of mine every night to have my emails under 15. Right now they're at 9, unless somebody's emailed me this evening. So you can get a hold of me pretty quickly, and I can tell you from experience, I've had parents, when I'm working out, email me, and I'm checking my phone, and I'll stop what I'm doing if it's something serious, and we'll get it taken care of right away. So I try to get back as quickly as possible. And 6, use a planner or your phone. And I'll tell you this right now, we're a little old school when it comes to the phone rule. It's often in your locker. Now, the gray area is off and in your back pocket seems to fly right now. We do, if the phone goes off and disrupts class, or somebody today at lunch was thinking, oh, it's close to spring and these rules are easy now. That phone gets taken away, and that phone doesn't get returned again until mom or dad comes and gets it. So it's off. And we want them focused on learning, and there are a lot of things that can distract in that phone.